I'm under no pretense that people may and will, despite the cushy, patronizing message, commit suicide. I'm also well aware that the message sounds a lot like dogmatic proselytizing. But why do you think that is?
Yeah, well, I know why it is, because that's exactly what it is. All right, and you're just like I said. You haven't pointed out how the depressive is wrong. All you've said is he's negative compared to what you call normal.
I think Viktor Frankl, in his book Answer for Meaning, gives us an effective metaphor. He compares our efforts to find meaning and purpose to that of the efforts to land a plane. Now, when the plane lands and there are severe crosswinds, the airplane can't expect to land on the runway just by pointing at it. It has to point towards the flow of the crosswind, or against the flow of the crosswind. And the same is true for what is the hyperbole of my message. When I'm making a disclaimer to reach out to people who are suicidal, of course I'm benching the philosophy behind that disclaimer in favor of the rhetoric. Fair game to ask for logical justification, but you've got to let me get to that before you bemoan the fact that I haven't.
Well, no, I think you got to put up, okay, before you make the argument, because if you don't do that, you're just the standard operating bullshit. All right, you have to validate what you're doing when what you're doing looks everything like some kind of force we know is negative. So if we know that this imposition of pop culture on individuals and this obligation to behave and think the way the normal human being thinks and behaves, if you're going to behave exactly like those forces, but you're saying you're doing something different, well, then you have to explain how what you're doing is different. And I don't see anything different here. Your rhetoric is perfectly consistent. You're saying most people like living. Most people are addicted to the heroin, and so if you're not addicted, there's something wrong with you, and we've got to fix you. We've got to stop you. We've got to interrupt you. We're not going to help you. No, we're going to do everything we can to unhelp you.
Because when I hear about people who are suicidal, they're not the sort of people who sit down like Camus, dwell on the existential paradox, and at the end of the day say, well, I can't justify my meaningless existence, time to off myself.
Oh, I think that's exactly what they do. They sit there and realize that they're clinging to shit. All right, but look, it's a hell of a burden. The fear factor is big, giant ball of stuff. All right, and again the giving up on the want and conceding to a notion of failure. There's lots of disincentives to suicide. So once somebody's actually gotten over all of those and arrived at some point where they say, God damn it, I just want to get the fuck out of here, they have done some thinking. I think you're being unfair.
No, the people who I see that either attempt or do commit suicide are people who've lost their jobs, people who are sexually abused by family members, people who are recently divorced, teenagers who are in the midst of their frightening and rapid change.
Wrong. It's people who have had the thought rolling around in their head for years, decades maybe, okay, and then they wait for a circumstance. They wait for something called desperation to intervene, okay, because they're just uncommitted. They've procrastinated through their life and basically just waited for things to get bad enough where they have the courage to do what they basically philosophically are comfortable with doing.
Tormented by their peers daily. It's not the way they are, as you imply in your response video. Way to blame the victim.
Yeah, well, fuck that shit. I'm not blaming any victims. The way they are, though, is disposed to that thought process. They don't have some heaven, they don't have this, they don't have all these false promises, so they're stuck with this reality. And they're stuck with the idea, the notion that, yes, they're going to just drone on in mediocrity, okay? And then there'll be, like I said, something will intervene, some event takes place, and that's just, oh, come on, I've taken enough shit, I ain't going to take any more. I mean, it's just a simple last straw scenario, that's all it is. And you're just saying, well, no, we're going to make sure it's not the last straw, so we'll pull the last straw out, and we'll just let you go on in your mediocrity.
There are people who feel stuck between this life of suffering and ending it. The catch is, and this is my simple suggestion, is that there are resources for these people, and there are ways out of this suffering.
Yeah, and there are ways that are as malicious to the individual and their actualization as any cult. It's no different than, you might as well give them Tom Cruise's number. I'm sure Tom Cruise can talk them off the ledge too. Alright, but he's going to talk them off the ledge with bullshit. And that's all these 1-800 numbers are. They're bullshit.
Not enough, but some. And this is what I mean when I mention hope for some alternative in my previous video.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's hope based on hope put on this scale. Again, why do you want to talk somebody out of something when it might be the rational choice? If somebody's terminally ill and talking about death, like I said, if you put enough nagging resources on them, okay, maybe you'll talk them into saying, okay, I'll go another day or two. Okay, you can nag them into it. Okay, you can fuck with their psychology and make them feel obliged and obligated. But is that being fair to them?
That's what these hotlines are for. I'm not the sort of person who doesn't put my money where my mouth is, so I called I called the hotline that I posted, and I talked to an operator and manager on sort of like the methods that they use.
Why didn't you just call pretending to be suicidal and then see how long it would take for the cops to show up to your door if you said the wrong thing? Okay, come on.
What they say when they talk to people. Turns out what they do is when you talk to them is they listen to you.
Yeah, right. They listen to you and they find out, they try to figure out how serious you are. Okay, and if you're really serious, then they're going to send somebody to fuck with your life. Okay, and if you're not like, okay, right on the edge of the cliff, yeah, then they're going to sit there and platitude you. They're going to give you the rhetoric of love and hope. Okay, they're going to try to seduce you back into the addiction and convince you that the heroin makes sense somehow, and that you got to get back in the game, because like I said, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings if you kill yourself. It's not about you being liberated from your pain. No, it's about you fulfilling your obligations that you didn't create.
What is causing you so much distress, and if you're willing, try to connect you with resources, whether it be social care, medical care, even financial care. Again,
care. It has nothing to do with fucking care. Alright? That has nothing to do with the fucking services provided. The care is no, like I said, that's like calling with the Christian missionaries, that's like calling that caring. Is that caring or is it propaganda? Alright, and that's all this bullshit is. The stuff you pointed people to is nothing, like I said, it's no different than giving them Tom Cruise's fucking phone number or Mother Teresa's phone number. Alright, you're just saying, get back in the cult.
Don't brainwash and they don't psychoanalyze. They can't make that judgment call.
Oh, bullshit. Bullshit.
They simply serve as a resource for people who want help. I'm certainly not...
yeah, no, the people who want... Okay, people who will accept the strings they will attach to the help. Okay, people who are willing to be, yes, okay, indoctrinate me again. You know, people who will accept help from people who are doing it because of the game they're playing. The missionaries, like I said. I mean, we're going to blame the Native Americans for falling for the trap? You know. I mean, come on. I mean, the slaves accepted Christianity. Are we going to blame the slaves for that kind of fucktarded behavior? No, because they were indoctrinated.
That they get reprogrammed, and that's not really what the resources are here for. They're here to, as you say, help them make sure they're making the right decision.
Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. You show me one place where they're going to help somebody make the right decision. They're going to help them just think through rationally whether they're doing the right thing or not. Bullshit. Okay, because as soon as you become a brick wall to them, as soon as they realize they're not getting through to you, or they're not changing you, then guess what? The white coats are going to show up, and you're going to spend 7 days getting evaluated.
I'm not going to endorse suicide as the right decision, but I'll get to that later. They don't actualize you, they don't validate your mission in life, but they do point you in the direction of people who can and do. I asked them, Why?
Yes, the head converters. The I mean, come on. You know, what a joke. They send you right to L. Ron's grave, right? L. Ron Hubbard.
Do it. What if someone just wants to check out? You know, I use the submarine analogy that you used. The manager had a pretty interesting response. Well, if they didn't have any desire to live, why would they bother calling?
Well, again, so then we can just play this game. Well, why do people need you? You're going to tell me that people, oh, I had no idea there's 800 numbers. Oh, I had no idea that there's whole social infrastructure that'll talk to me. You know, come on. It's a little bit trivial, you know, getting into this kind of this blueprinting of why people are doing what they're doing. I mean, come on.